Where does gas exchange occur in the lungs? A. Bronchi. B. Trachea. C. Alveoli. D. Pharynx. The correct answer is C. The alveoli are tiny air sacs in the lungs where gas exchange occurs, allowing oxygen from the air to enter the bloodstream and carbon dioxide to be removed from the bloodstream. Which muscle is primarily responsible for inspiration during quiet breathing? A. Diaphragm. B. Internal intercostal muscles. C. External intercostal muscles. D. Rectus abdominis. The correct answer is A. The diaphragm is the primary muscle responsible for inspiration during quiet breathing. When it contracts, it flattens, increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity and causing air to be drawn into the lungs. What is the function of the nasal cavity in the respiratory system? A. Producing mucus. B. Filtering and warming the air. C. Gas exchange. D. Storing oxygen. The correct answer is B. The nasal cavity plays a role in filtering and warming the air as it enters the respiratory system, helping to remove contaminants and adjust the temperature of the inspired air before it reaches the lungs. The trachea is also known as the A. Windpipe. B. Voice box. C. Alveoli. D. Bronchus. The correct answer is A. The trachea is commonly referred to as the windpipe, serving as the main airway that carries air to and from the lungs. What is the role of surfactant in the alveoli? A. Increasing lung compliance. B. Facilitating gas exchange. C. Preventing alveolar collapse. D. Aiding cough reflex. The correct answer is C. Surfactant is a substance produced by cells in the alveoli that helps to reduce surface tension, preventing alveolar collapse and making breathing easier. During expiration, the diaphragm A. Contracts. B. Relaxes. C. Flattens. D. Expands. The correct answer is B. During expiration, the diaphragm relaxes, returning to its dome-shaped position and decreasing the volume of the thoracic cavity, forcing air out of the lungs. Which of the following is not considered a respiratory muscle? A. Diaphragm. B. External intercostal muscles. C. Rectus abdominis. D. Sternocleidomastoid. The correct answer is C. The rectus abdominis is primarily a muscle of the abdominal wall and is not directly involved in the process of respiration. What is the purpose of the epiglottis during swallowing? A. To protect the trachea from food and liquids. B. To aid in vocalization. C. To warm and humidify inhaled air. D. To regulate airflow during exercise. The correct answer is A. The epiglottis is a flap of cartilage that covers the opening of the larynx during swallowing, preventing food and liquids from entering the trachea and instead directing them to the esophagus. What is the term for the tiny air sacs where gas exchange occurs in the lungs? A. Alveoli. B. Bronchioles. C. Larynx. D. Trachea. The correct answer is A. The alveoli are the small air sacs in the lungs where gas exchange between the lungs and blood takes place. What is the main function of the pleura in the respiratory system? A. Gas exchange. B. Protecting the lungs. C. Regulating airflow. D. Producing mucus. The correct answer is B. The pleura is a membrane that surrounds the lungs and helps protect them from damage and infection. Which part of the respiratory system is responsible for filtering, warming, and moistening incoming air? A. Pharynx. B. Bronchiole. C. Nasal cavity. D. Alveoli. The correct answer is C. The nasal cavity is responsible for filtering, warming, and moistening incoming air before it reaches the lungs. Which of the following muscles is not involved in the process of breathing? A. Diaphragm. B. External intercostal muscles. C. Temporalis. D. Sternocleidomastoid. The correct answer is C. The temporalis muscle is not involved in the process of breathing. What part of the respiratory system is responsible for the production of sound during speech? A. Lungs. B. Trachea. C. Bronchi. D. Larynx. The correct answer is D. The larynx, or voice box, is responsible for the production of sound during speech. Which of the following terms describes the process of bringing air into the lungs? A. Expiration. B. Eupnea. C. Inspiration. D. Hyperventilation. The correct answer is C. Inspiration is the process of bringing air into the lungs. Where are respiratory centers located in the brain that control breathing? A. Cerebellum. B. Hippocampus. C. Medulla oblongata. D. Frontal lobe. The correct answer is C. Respiratory centers that control breathing are located in the medulla oblongata in the brain. What is the term for the process of gas exchange in the tissues of the body? A. Oxygenation. B. Ventilation. C. Perfusion. D. Respiration. The correct answer is D. Respiration is the term for the process of gas exchange in the tissues of the body. What is the purpose of the respiratory mucosa in the nasal cavity? A. Temperature regulation. B. Gas exchange. C. Moistening and filtering air. D. Production of mucus. The correct answer is C. The respiratory mucosa in the nasal cavity plays a critical role in moistening and filtering incoming air, preparing it for the lungs. Which of the following structures is responsible for preventing food and liquids from entering the respiratory tract during swallowing? A. Trachea. B. Bronchi. C. Epiglottis. D. Alveoli. The correct answer is C. The epiglottis is a flap of cartilage that covers the larynx during swallowing, preventing food and liquids from entering the trachea and lungs. What is the term for the process of passive expiration, where the elastic recoil of the lungs and chest wall leads to air being pushed out of the lungs? A. Inhalation. B. Exhalation. C. Inspiration. D. Auscultation. The correct answer is B. Exhalation is the process of passive expiration, where the elastic recoil of the lungs and chest wall leads to air being pushed out of the lungs. Which of the following structures is responsible for connecting the lungs to the trachea and facilitating the exchange of gases during breathing? A. Alveoli. B. Bronchioles. C. Pleura. D. Bronchi. The correct answer is D. Bronchi are the primary air passages that connect the trachea to the lungs, branching into smaller bronchioles and facilitating the exchange of gases during breathing. What is the primary gas involved in gas exchange during respiration, moving from the alveoli to the blood in the capillaries? A. Oxygen. B. Nitrogen. C. Carbon dioxide. D. Hydrogen. The correct answer is A. Oxygen is the primary gas involved in gas exchange during respiration, moving from the alveoli into the blood in the capillaries. Which of the following structures is responsible for generating the negative pressure needed for inspiration during breathing? A. Diaphragm. B. Epithelial cells. C. Pleura. D. Alveoli. The correct answer is A. The diaphragm is the primary muscle responsible for generating the negative pressure needed for inspiration during breathing. What is the term for the process of bringing air into the lungs through the mouth and nostrils? A. Exhalation. B. Respiration. C. Inhalation. D. Perfusion. The correct answer is C. Inhalation is the process of bringing air into the lungs through the mouth and nostrils, expanding the chest cavity and drawing air in. What is the role of the intercostal muscles in the respiratory system? A. Regulating blood pH. B. Controlling airflow within the bronchioles. C. Expanding and contracting the rib cage during breathing. D. Producing mucus in the bronchi. The correct answer is C. The intercostal muscles are responsible for expanding and contracting the rib cage during breathing, aiding in the process of inhalation and exhalation. Which structure in the respiratory system is responsible for connecting the larynx to the bronchi and conducting air into the lungs? A. Pharynx. B. Trachea. C. Nasal cavity. D. Epiglottis. The correct answer is B. The trachea connects the larynx to the bronchi, conducting air into the lungs for gas exchange. What is the main function of the respiratory system during gas exchange? A. Transporting oxygen throughout the body. B. Producing heat to maintain body temperature. C. Filtering waste products from the blood. D. Absorbing nutrients from the air. The correct answer is A. The main function of the respiratory system during gas exchange is to transport oxygen from the air into the bloodstream and remove carbon dioxide from the body. Which of the following structures is responsible for the production of mucus that helps trap and remove dust and microbes from the air in the respiratory system? A. Alveoli. B. Bronchioles. C. Bronchi. D. Bronchial glands. The correct answer is D. Bronchial glands produce mucus that helps trap and remove dust and microbes from the air, keeping the respiratory system clean. Which muscle in the respiratory system is responsible for aiding in forced expiration by compressing the abdominal contents, increasing intra-abdominal pressure and pushing air out of the lungs? A. Diaphragm. B. Intercostal muscles. C. Pectoralis major. D. Rectus abdominis. The correct answer is D. The rectus abdominis muscle aids in forced expiration by compressing the abdominal contents, increasing intra-abdominal pressure, and pushing air out of the lungs. What is the primary function of the cilia in the respiratory system? A. Producing mucus. B. Detecting odors. C. Moving mucus and trapped particles out of the airways. D. Storing oxygen in the lungs. The correct answer is C. Cilia in the respiratory system move mucus and trapped particles out of the airways, helping to clear the respiratory tract of debris and pathogens. Which of the following terms describes the process of gas exchange in the tissues of the body involving the uptake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide? A. External respiration. B. Internal respiration. C. Alveolar ventilation. D. Cellular respiration. The correct answer is B. Internal respiration refers to the exchange of gases between the blood and the tissues of the body, involving the uptake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. What is the primary function of the bronchial tree in the respiratory system? A. Producing surfactant. B. Storing excess oxygen. C. Transporting air into the lungs. D. Digesting food particles in the air. The correct answer is C. The bronchial tree transports air from the trachea into the lungs, branching into smaller airways to reach the alveoli for gas exchange. Which of the following respiratory structures plays a crucial role in regulating the pH of the blood by removing carbon dioxide through exhalation? A. Alveoli. B. Bronchioles. C. Bronchial glands. D. Kidneys. The correct answer is A. The alveoli in the lungs remove carbon dioxide from the blood during exhalation, helping to regulate the pH of the blood. During inhalation, which muscle contracts and flattens, increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity and aiding in the expansion of the lungs? A. Rectus abdominis. B. Sternocleidomastoid. C. Diaphragm. D. external oblique. The correct answer is C. The diaphragm contracts and flattens during inhalation, increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity, creating negative pressure to expand the lungs for air intake. What is the primary role of the pleura in the respiratory system? A. Producing mucus for lubrication. B. Generating negative pressure in the lungs. C. Providing a smooth surface for lung expansion. D. Storing excess carbon dioxide. The correct answer is C. The pleura provides a smooth, lubricated surface for the lungs to expand and contract within the thoracic cavity, aiding in breathing movements. Which structure in the respiratory system is responsible for gas exchange between the alveoli and capillaries? A. Trachea. B. Bronchiole. C. Alveoli. D. Pharynx. The correct answer is C. The alveoli are the tiny air sacs in the lungs where gas exchange occurs between the air in the lungs and the blood in the capillaries. Which of the following muscles is primarily responsible for aiding in forced expiration by compressing the abdominal contents? A. Diaphragm. B. Intercostal muscles. C. Abdominal muscles. D. Pectoralis major. The correct answer is C. The abdominal muscles aid in forced expiration by compressing the abdominal contents, which increases intra-abdominal pressure and helps push air out of the lungs. Which part of the respiratory system is responsible for conducting air into the lungs and is divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary branches? A. Trachea. B. Alveoli. C. Bronchial tree. D. Pharynx. The correct answer is C. The bronchial tree is responsible for conducting air into the lungs and is composed of the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and alveolar ducts. What is the term for the process of bringing air into the lungs through the mouth and nostrils? A. Inspiration. B. Exhalation. C. Swallowing. D. Respiration. The correct answer is A. Inspiration is the process of bringing air into the lungs. Exhalation is the process of pushing air out of the lungs. Which of the following structures is responsible for regulating breathing rate and depth based on changes in blood carbon dioxide levels and pH? A. Epiglottis. B. Alveoli. C. Respiratory mucosa. D. Chemoreceptors. The correct answer is D. Chemoreceptors detect changes in carbon dioxide levels and pH in the blood, thereby regulating breathing rate and depth. Which of the following structures is responsible for trapping and removing dust and microbes from the air in the respiratory system? A. Epiglottis. B. Larynx. C. Cilia. D. Pharynx. The correct answer is C. Cilia are tiny hair-like structures in the respiratory tract that help trap and remove dust and microbes, preventing them from entering the lungs. What is the primary function of the bronchial tree in the respiratory system? A. Gas exchange. B. Producing surfactant. C. Filtering air. D. Conducting air into the lungs. The correct answer is D. The bronchial tree is responsible for conducting air into the lungs by branching into primary, secondary, and tertiary bronchi, which eventually reach the alveoli. Which muscle in the respiratory system contracts and flattens during inhalation, increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity? A. Abdominal muscles. B. Intercostal muscles. C. Pectoralis major. D. Diaphragm. The correct answer is D. The diaphragm contracts and flattens during inhalation, increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity, aiding in the expansion of the lungs. What is the primary role of the pleura in the respiratory system? A. Producing mucus. B. Filtering air. C. Assisting in forced expiration. D. Reducing friction during breathing. The correct answer is D. The pleura is a double-layered membrane that reduces friction between the lungs and chest wall during breathing, allowing for smooth movement of the lungs. Which of the following is a function of the diaphragm in the respiratory system? A. Controls breathing rate. B. Generates negative pressure for inspiration. C. Aids in vocalization. D. Filters incoming air. The correct answer is B. The diaphragm is the primary muscle responsible for generating negative pressure for inspiration during breathing. What is the main function of the respiratory system in terms of gas exchange? A. Regulating body temperature. B. Producing energy for cells. C. Exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. D. Removing metabolic waste products. The correct answer is C. The main function of the respiratory system is to exchange oxygen from the air with carbon dioxide in the blood, facilitating gas exchange. Which structure in the respiratory system is responsible for humidifying incoming air? A. Bronchi. B. Alveoli. C. Bronchioles. D. Nasal mucosa. The correct answer is D. The nasal mucosa is responsible for humidifying incoming air and plays a role in filtering and warming the air as well. Which structure in the respiratory system is responsible for producing mucus that traps foreign particles in microorganisms? A. Bronchioles. B. Alveoli. C. Trachea. D. Bronchial glands. The correct answer is D. Bronchial glands produce mucus that helps trap and remove foreign particles and microorganisms from the airways to protect the lungs. What is the primary function of the rib cage in the respiratory system? A. Generating negative pressure for inspiration. B. Protecting the heart. C. Aiding in digestion. D. Expelling carbon dioxide from the body. The correct answer is A. The rib cage plays a crucial role in generating negative pressure during inspiration by expanding and allowing the lungs to fill with air. Which muscle in the respiratory system is responsible for rotating the ribs during deep breathing to increase the thoracic cavity volume? A. Diaphragm. B. Sternocleidomastoid. C. External intercostals. D. Scalene muscles. The correct answer is C. The external intercostal muscles help rotate the ribs during deep breathing, expanding the thoracic cavity and aiding in inhalation. Where is the respiratory center located in the brain that controls breathing rate and depth? A. Hypothalamus. B. Cerebellum. C. Medulla oblongata. D. Frontal lobe. The correct answer is C. The medulla oblongata contains the respiratory center that regulates breathing rate and depth based on blood carbon dioxide levels and pH changes. Which structure in the respiratory system is responsible for exchanging gases between the alveoli and the pulmonary capillaries? A. Bronchi. B. Trachea. C. Bronchioles. D. Alveolar sacs. The correct answer is D. The alveolar sacs are where the actual gas exchange occurs between the air in the alveoli and the blood in the pulmonary capillaries. What is the primary role of the pleura in the respiratory system? A. Facilitating vocalization. B. Lubricating lung movements. C. Aiding in digestion. D. Generating negative pressure for inspiration. The correct answer is B. The pleura produces a lubricating fluid that allows the lungs to move smoothly during breathing movements.